This is the Left of Center podcast with Rob Royce and Ben Knight.
Welcome back, Left of Centerites, Left of Centerines, Left of Centerides.
Left of Centerettes.
Left of Centerettes.
Welcome
back. I am Ben Knight.
I'm Rob Royce.
I like that you paused there.
I did too.
Because you were like, I'm Rob. Oh, wait, I have a last name. Royce.
I just thought I'd try it.
No, hey,
It was like what is the split second? Like it was a split second decision.
And you did really well, I think. I think you did really well. Nice. But anyway, if there's a lot of pauses and odd thoughts and just random things going on, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and we're recording, so there might be a little bit of loopiness going on.
There very well may.
And this is actually a very special night.
For a couple of reasons. Well, you go first.
Well, I didn't know there was a couple reasons.
Yep, there is.
You know what? I'm excited now. So my reason is, it is the Knight Royce 2014 sleepover.
Yes, it is.
We took our wives to
a nearby larger town,
the city. We took our wives to the city, and
hardly.
And we went and took them shopping, and then we went out to dinner.
Took me shopping because I'm the one who's running out of stylish things to wear. And so our trip to the major brand name department store was actually, I think the only thing that was purchased was for me.
Well, I don't know. Actually, we bought my son a toy.
No. I mean, for
your family.
For my family was, and the Knights and the Royces don't always get to have these kind of excursions.
Not at all.
Like we hang out, like you and I hang out, and sometimes my wife's with us, or there have even been times when you and your wife are there and I'm there, but my wife's not. But this is like one of the only time we don't get to have. Night Royce night time.
No, we really don't, and it's because we have children, we have wives.
We have wives.
Our wives. That was a very good rhyme. I like that.
We have wives. We got lives.
It's exactly right. So this was kind of
It's a special night.
It was a holy cow. We get to go out and have dinner, and
yes.
We went and we had Asian cuisine.
My boys who range from age 12 to age 8 got to see a real hibachi grill for the first time. And
poor Isabella,
my little girl, was freaked out.
She was, dude. It was like a scene out of a movie. It's like her eyes literally went up into her forehead and over her head. Because
they pour the oil, just for you listeners who've never been to a hibachi grill, they pour that oil on the grill right in front of you.
And it was cute too, because it was in a little smiley face.
Yeah, and you're sitting there at this bar around the hibachi grill, and the expert cook guy who's got the fancy knives and spatulas, whatever those are called, he makes this smiley face out of oil, and then he lights it on fire, and this flame shoots up about 4 feet off the table, all the heat and just this burst of orange light, and my little girl lost it.
And it was funny too, because it's funny, at first her eyes just got huge and she didn't know how to react. She's just like, fire. And then all of a sudden Rob's right, she absolutely flipped out. And it was sad. But you know what though? Hey.
But the boys loved it.
Oh, the boys were all about it. They're just like, do it again. But that was fun.
This was not a cheap place to eat, but it was totally worth it.
No, I actually had to take out a second mortgage so we could eat tonight, but it was well worth it. The food was delicious, and Rob
really was good.
And his wife had enough leftovers to have lunch tomorrow.
Feed ourselves a couple times with that.
So that was pretty awesome. So right now, we thought, what better time than 1 o'clock in the morning to go ahead and record a podcast?
Well, it's the Royce night.
Exactly.
Which
the Royce night.
The Royce night. And this also happens to be the week of Thanksgiving.
I love Thanksgiving.
Who doesn't love Thanksgiving?
I love Thanksgiving. I love turkey. I love ham. I love stuffing. I love cranberry sauce. Especially, let me ask you this.
Okay.
In your household as a child, did you eat the cranberry sauce in the shape of a can?
I never ate cranberries, whether they were in the shape of the can or...
Are you serious?
I never did.
What about now?
I don't think I'm going to do it.
You've never had cranberry sauce.
I have not had. Is it cranberry sauce or are those? I mean, because that's not a cranberry. That's.
Well, it is. It's mashed up cranberries in
The closest I've been to having a cranberry is the Ocean Spray cranberry grape
juice. Oh,
cranberry grape juice.
So not even just straight up
Nope.
cranberry juice.
Nope. And I don't know if I could say why. So I just don't like the look of it.
Well, I'm telling you right now, Rob, you're going to get a urinary tract infection.
What?
Because did you know that cranberry juice can keep you from getting a urinary tract infection?
Are those sorts of things real when people say that sort of stuff?
I'm telling you, dude. Well,
I've never had.
I'll be honest with you. I think it's all voodoo. Just the fact that, like our wives think that natural oils will cure anything. It's all voodoo.
They do. My wife.
It's all voodoo.
That.
In fact, my wife just made it to where we can't make our mortgage payment this year. What is wrong with me? This month, because
it's 1 a.m.
It's 1 a.m. Because she just bought a bunch of essential oils
from my wife,
which is funny because I'm like, I don't know if they're that essential. Like that to me, that's pretty braggy. Like these aren't just like oils; they're essential.
I don't want to say a whole lot about it because there's part of me that thinks, yeah, this stuff's for real because we used to have a lot more oils and herbs and things like that in our food, and now it's all just sugar and salt.
It's all just sugar and salt.
So speaking of sugar and salt, here we've got Thanksgiving coming up.
I love that we're tangent people.
Yeah. But I think we learned the last time we tried to do a Halloween special holiday podcast, left us all feeling a little hollow. I don't know what I gotta admit, I kind of liked the podcast, but
going back and listening to it, it's like, hey, it wasn't so bad, but then it's just,
well, here's the thing I think happened is that there's so many, especially on something like Halloween, there's so many different sentiments on the matter, and I'm not really sure that we probably ended up doing a podcast about Halloween that I don't know, maybe some people, the people who give Halloween a lot of thought are probably the ones who don't really like to celebrate it, and then everybody else just doesn't think about it all that much. So it's almost more like probably for our listening base, it was just a non-factor. Like, who cares?
Yeah, and the funny thing is, we actually had a lot of downloads, I think, but
Did we?
But it just wasn't. It wasn't. I think we're just going to stay away from. Well, you know what? Actually, I want to do a Christmas cast. I do want to do a Christmas cast.
Christ cast.
A Christ cast. Christ Mass cast.
I think that'd be a good idea. Well, Christmas is pretty cut and dry. Nobody's going to say. I mean, people might pick on the fact that we're celebrating a specific day. Some people might pick on nativity scenes or Christmas trees, but there will be no arguing amongst Christians that he came in the flesh to die for our sins, and that's what the holiday is about. Whether you celebrate Christmas or not, undoubtedly, we can all as Christians identify with that's why he came.
Exactly.
So that's why we'll do a Christ miscast.
Exactly. But we're not going to do, you know what I think? I think for the duration of this podcast, whether it lasts for 7 years, 7 days.
70 years?
Just however long it lasts. It might be, you know what? It might be done after this one. I don't
You
know.
never know.
You never know. But we will not do another Halloween cast. That is.
Yeah, I don't want to say that we're going to stay away from holiday casts. But probably not Halloween.
I think we're done with Halloween.
Okay.
Halloween, we're done with you. But so, for those of you who did like the podcast, thank you so much. For those of you who didn't.
Personally, I enjoyed it. But I think, and as for today at least, let's kind of just say, Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And our gift to you to be thankful is, I think we should get into the headlines.
Headlines.
And now for the news with Ben and Rob.
Boy, you've got a lot more headlines here to go through.
We have a lot more headlines to go through this week.
We're going to have to kind of move it because that's a lot.
We like to move it. That's what I'm saying. Well, the first one here, it's wonderful and it's frightening at the same time. And it's Clowns for Christ, Rob. Spreading.
Well, why is that frightening?
Because I hate clowns, Rob.
Why?
I hate them. Have you ever seen the movie It?
parts of it?
That's all I needed.
Really?
That's all I needed.
Okay.
But these clowns, for Christ, are spreading God's message one balloon animal at a time.
Are they trying, like, is this just your thing with clowns that they're creepy, or are they trying to be creepy?
They're not trying to be creepy.
They're not trying to be creepy.
Clowns are just creepy. They are a loosely knit group in Ohio known as Clowns for Christ, and they are doing the Lord's work with puppets as well as prayers. And I got to be honest with you, they might as well be like tarantulas and airborne diseases for Christ, because I would not have anything to do with this because they're clowns. I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those things.
I've never had any opinion about them either way. Like, scary or not scary, it's just like, I don't know, it's a clown.
Well, it's like, Judith Zivith, who's been active in the group for 17 years, says their silly costumes serve to break down barriers. I don't know that that's true.
For you, it'd
not
be like,
for me.
You're just going to put a cross up there and be like, stay away.
I need an old priest and a young priest. No, dude, I don't like clowns. I don't like clowns. I mean, again, they could just be like foot fungus for Christ, because like this is absolutely terrifying. I mean, look at this dude.
I will say that the picture they've got on here is, I don't know. There's something a little edgy about this that maybe is rubbing me the wrong way.
I don't like clowns.
Those of you in Clowns for Christ, I don't mean that personally in any way. And if you guys are spreading the gospel through performance as clowns, more power to you. But I don't know.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
I think you've poisoned my mind.
I don't like clowns, Rob.
You know what? That's fine.
In fact, we're moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on. All right.
Staring at that made me just like, I'm not sure.
Check this out, though. I'm going to read you this headline, and this makes me very happy.
Okay.
This makes me very happy. Eleanor Cunningham celebrates 100th birthday with skydive.
So that's got to be like the oldest person that's ever jumped out of an airplane.
Well, would you like to know who have been some of the other ones?
In fact, tell me.
Former President George H.W.
Right.
Bush celebrated his 90th birthday by skydiving.
And didn't Kirk Douglas, I don't know, you have any, he jumped out of an airplane when he was really old. The actor, Michael Douglas'
Michael
father?
Douglas.
His father.
Kirk Douglas. Yeah, I actually don't know. I don't know when he did.
I don't have that information in front of me or anything.
You would think that I would have done a little bit of research.
I don't know.
But,
okay,
no.
Tell me about Eleanor
Cunningham, who is of House Cave, New York, decided that on oh man, I just can't even believe this. I'm losing my mind here. But says here that she kissed her 7-month-old great granddaughter before suiting up for her 100th birthday jump in Saratoga skydiving in Gainesville. And it was her third jump. Yes, after taking up the sport at age 90. 90, Rob.
So she's thinking, what can I do to close out my twilight years in
Holy
style?
cow. Dude, I don't want to do it now. I don't want to do it now.
Really?
No.
Why not?
That's like, I've always considered that kind of stuff like almost like you're looking at God and going, go ahead.
You ready for me?
Are you ready for me now? Because I'm ready. I'm jumping out of a plane. I don't know. For anybody who does do that, if there's anybody that's listening right now and you do skydiving, good on ya.
Well, no, I one thing that kind of intrigues me is these flying squirrel suits that they've got.
Actually, that would be kind of cool.
Well, right. And so you got to skydive out of the plane, and you're wearing a parachute, but you got that suit, that flying squirrel thing. Now, in order to legally jump in one of those, to have one of those or something, I heard you have to have 2,000 dives under normal. So some people do this an awful lot. Evidently.
I mean, apparently people are starting at 90 now and doing it. Man.
That's one of the coolest headlines you've come up with.
Eleanor, you're awesome.
Rock star.
Oh, total rock star, right? I mean, oh my gosh, 100 years old, dude, and she's skydiving.
Her doctor signed off on the skydiving expedition.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here, and apparently, according to the Nintendo Wii and my BMI and the last couple doctors I've been to, I'm obese.
Right.
And this woman, who is like, 70 years my senior, is jumping out of planes. The doctor's like, yeah, you're good to go.
And it says her health makes her more than capable of doing what she loves.
Eleanor Cunningham, we salute you. You're
do.
awesome.
We do.
Let me ask you this, Rob.
Okay.
Have you ever robbed a restaurant because you felt that they've wronged you?
No, but I felt like so-called restaurants have wronged me.
Okay. Well, then maybe this guy has a good point. I won't read his name, but there was a man who was accused of robbing 4 Alabama Subway sandwich shops, allegedly because he was mad that the Jared diet didn't work for him and he wanted his money back. So apparently, well, actually, you know what? I'll read his name. Zachary Torrance, 18.
Way to go, Zach.
Way to go, dude. Was arrested and charged with first-degree robbery for previously robbing other Subways as well. And apparently, the dude was just mad because he's like, I'm upset because I didn't lose weight like Jared. And what people don't realize is, like, anybody who thinks that you're going to lose weight eating, like, any sub from Subway and losing weight, you're out of your minds.
Well,
now,
I did. Hang on. I'm going to defend.
Well,
here,
hold on.
Okay.
Here's where I'm gonna defend and not defend at the same time.
Okay.
Now, if you want to lose weight on the Subway diet, first of all, you eat the healthiest sub they have.
Yeah, you got to kind of obey it.
Yeah, and then plus Jared, it's not that Jared started eating Subway. He stopped eating like McDonald's and like really fatty stuff, and he changed to Subway sandwiches, and he started working out.
I guarantee you that you could do the same thing as Jared's Subway diet at McDonald's. In fact, hey, those of you who are running McDonald's national whatever campaign or whatever, I've got 30 pounds to lose, and I will help McDonald's prove that I can lose 30 pounds on McDonald's.
I will too. In fact, actually, I will if they bring back those. I don't know if they were called like shakeable. Do you remember those salads they were almost like in a cup, and they had salads with chicken, and you could shake them up.
No.
You don't remember those?
Vaguely.
Those were good. I don't know if they were healthy, but like I pretended they were because they were tasty. But
let me put it this way. McDonald's, I challenge you, and we'll work something out. I challenge you to bring me in to prove that I can lose the 30 pounds I want to lose before I go to the tropics on the Big Mac.
Well, and here's to give you an idea. Okay, so the Jared diet, right? Jared Fogle, who went from 1998 to 1999, went from 425 pounds to 180 pounds with the quote-unquote Subway diet. But let me tell you here, if you're going to rob a Subway or any chain, first of all, I would think wearing a mask of some sort or something. But he robbed these multiple Subways wearing the exact same clothing and never changed. And so the police caught up with him very quickly.
So what did he think that Subway was selling him?
He thought that if he ate from Subway, he would lose weight.
But the point of going to Subway to buy their food is to eat, not to lose weight. And so did they provide him with the product that they were? Did they provide him with the product that he ordered? Because you don't go up to the counter at any restaurant, even Subway, and say, I want to lose 50 pounds, please. And they go, oh, here's 50 pounds off. Right? They don't chop it up and go, here's your 50-pound weight loss.
Well, it's true. It's not liposuction way. It's Subway. I mean, it's not. I'll have the number 2 with.
No.
I want to lower my cholesterol, and can I lose 73 pounds, please? And I'd like to supersize that. I don't know.
Speed it up. So he got his food evidently.
But now he's in the Jefferson County Jail. And
that's a big bail.
And his bail is set at $250,000.
So for the sheer stupidity of what he did.
Oh my gosh!
If you're gonna be that stupid, Well, I'm serious, McDonald's, about this. I'll do this just like Jared did on a Big Mac.
you know what? I'm for it. I say do it. Well, let me ask you this, Rob.
Okay.
Being a guy who today bought himself a new Star Wars shirt.
I did at our excursion to the major brand department store that we went to. They were running some pretty awesome clearances. Now, I wouldn't necessarily have been one to buy. I'm not really into graphic T-shirts anyway. But this one was really, really inexpensive.
Well, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Do you believe in the Force?
What Force?
The Force.
Like
The
gravity?
Force. Like Star Wars.
Like the Star Wars Force?
The Force.
Oh boy.
Just say no and move on.
No, and move on.
There you go. Well, check this out, people.
Okay.
This is where science and science fiction meet. So apparently the Star Wars Force is being used for thought control to cure headaches and epilepsy. Finally!
Huh.
Finally, the Force is being used for some good. I don't buy it, but
What are they? Let's read this. What are they suggesting?
well, here's the thing. So, so they've been using headsets to record brain activity, and then they turn on an electronic chip that enables a gene to be released, protein into mice.
Weird.
And so there are different types of thoughts that are produced, varying with amounts of protein and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. In a nutshell, I mean, like I said, I could read you the whole article, but basically they're like, the Force exists and we're using it to get rid of headaches in mice.
What is that thing when they give you like if you complain that you're suffering from like migraine headaches, and they give you a capsule and all that's in it is like water with salt in it?
A
and it's
placebo?
Like placebo.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I read that and I was just like, really? The Force? All right.
I'm thinking if the Force was real, it probably wouldn't be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, man, I don't know. Who funds this stuff?
We do.
Oh, thank you, taxpayers, for all your hard work. No, I just don't, it's like, Luke, you need a Tylenol. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. But for those of you out there doing the good work, more power to you.
I mean, if you can come up with something that, I totally missed it. What did they say this thing cures?
Headaches.
Headaches.
And epilepsy. So I don't know.
I think the only reason they had a headache and epilepsy because they watched too much Star Wars.
There's a lot of effects going on there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of effects.
Don't get me started.
Well, I'm going to wrap up the headlines here, but
really, I thought we had more.
We have one more, but I'm going to wrap it up with this one, and it's furious women throwing chairs in McDonald's. And why, Rob?
Is it because they didn't lose any weight on my new McDonald's diet?
It's not because of that. You would think.
Let's just give it time. It will happen.
Well, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Have you ever gone to McDonald's? And I don't eat a lot of McDonald's now, but have you ever gone to McDonald's and you're like, man, I want breakfast. I want breakfast.
Kind of like on what's the Adam Sandler show?
Oh, Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
You walk in and it's 10:31, and you're like, I'll have some pancakes and a
we
McGriddle.
stopped serving breakfast at 10 o'clock.
That's right. And you're like, my life is over.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently for these two women, and there are no names because they have not had any arrest yet. There's a video. I'm not going to play it because there's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of profanity. But apparently these and in the video, these women go bat crap crazy. Within seconds, they go in, they try to order breakfast.
It says the pair began a frenzied attack on workers, picking up tables and chairs and throwing them around the room while ranting and raving. And
dude, ranting and raving is putting it lightly. I've watched this video like 3 times, and it's like they literally go up, they order, and they're like, they're like, no, we can't serve you breakfast, and they're just like.
One of the women can be heard to threaten another customer, saying, "I will smack the smarts out of you." Except she didn't say smarts.
I like that you changed it. She will smack the smarts out of you.
I'm not saying that word on our podcast.
But it's just like there was a guy that actually captured the video on his phone.
Nice.
And but I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not going to stick up for these women, but I will say this. I have gotten irritated by not being able to order breakfast at a certain time. Because I think I think that should be allowed. Anytime you go into any restaurant, you should be like, I want breakfast. And they're like, okay.
What's keeping McDonald's from like doing the Perkins thing, or like they can't serve breakfast all day?
I don't know.
How different? I mean, what do they got to do? Like, what they got to like, not time code lock their breakfast freezer? Because you know all this stuff is just heated up.
I don't know.
Isn't it?
I don't know.
You work fast food, right?
When I was a kid. I don't remember now, though.
Really?
It's been too long. It's been a while. It's been a while.
Okay.
But, no, that wraps up the headlines. So, what else we got there, Robbie?
Well, we're going to try something brand new on this podcast. And we're not going to take a lot of time with it, but we're just going to see how this goes over. So I am kind of a closet conspiracy theorist.
Oh, so you're saying we
Can
should
you
do it?
imagine?
So you're saying that we should do a conspiracy theorist segment?
Well, actually, we could try it.
All right, let's give it a shot.
And now, Conspiracy Theories with Rob and Ben.
Hey, dude, why are you talking like that?
Excuse me?
Well, this is just a segment. You don't have to talk all theatrically.
Oh, that's it. I quit. I'm not even getting paid for this.
Rob, where did we find this guy?
We didn't. He just kind of came in here and started yelling. Conspiracy theories. I want to stay away from the normal ones. The normal ones I would call like moon landing,
Fake.
Elvis.
Fake.
No. What?
What?
What the heck do you mean fake?
I don't know.
Elvis fake?
I don't know.
I think Elvis was real.
Was he?
I'm pretty sure he was. I mean, but the conspiracy theory is that he's still alive. All right. Okay. I think he was a real guy, Ben.
Was he a real guy? Did he?
I'm pretty sure he was.
Oh man.
I think there's some conclusive proof he was. Here's the new conspiracy theory, guys. Elvis was fake. It's so late.
Anyway, what's your conspiracy theory?
Oh, come on. Okay.
I can't stop laughing. Oh, okay, sorry. What's your conspiracy theory?
I can't even say now. All right, let's pick this up next time.
All right, so clearly that didn't work.
Not at all.
Not at all. So conspiracy theory, maybe we'll give it
Well,
another shot?
Yeah, because I really wanted to try it, but not now. No.
No, not at all. Not at all. Well, you know what we should get to then, since the conspiracy theory didn't work out?
Mm-hmm.
We should, let's get real with you.
Get real with Rob. Let's do it.
It's time to get real with Rob. It's time to get real with Rob.
Okay, actually, the Real with Rob segment for today, I'd actually like to kind of combine this with the mailbag in a sense.
I love how, like, NPR you sounded when you started it. You're like, today with the Real with Rob, we are going to be...
I didn't sound like that. You mean it's just what I said?
It just sounded very NPR.
My voice?
It did. It did. You sounded so proper.
I should apply for a job there or something.
You should be like, yeah, man, we're going to do Real with Rob this week.
Well, last time I tried to do a character accent, we know how that worked.
It's true. We talk about this all the time. Rob doesn't know how to do any accent other than...
All right, dude, man, let's do this Real with Rob thing right now, right?
And Rob, like, all right, Rob, now I want you to be Dutch. All right, man, let's go ahead and do this
let's
Real
do
with
the
Rob.
Real with Rob, man.
All right, now do Irish, Rob. All right, man, let's do Real with Rob.
I'm like an Irish Californian.
But like
I'm not from California, man. I'm from Southern Oregon.
See,
Radical.
he's amazing. Amazing actor.
Just at the one. Actually, you know what? I spent most of my life in Vancouver.
That's where that accent came from.
I don't know.
All right, well, what's up with Real with Rob?
Kind of want to combine it with our mailbag. See, we have this like really, really old question from like when we first started the podcast, and it came from my brother who lives in North Dakota. And my brother asked me if we would be willing to just start the conversation about whether men and women can exist in a platonic relationship or not. Is it possible or is it impossible?
Nope, sure can't.
Well, what makes you say that?
I don't know.
Okay, so what do you think? My brother's question, he asks, is it possible for men and women to exist in a platonic relation? Now, of course, we're talking about outside of, like, you don't want to exist in a platonic relationship within your marriage.
No.
Or within a dating relationship. But is it possible to truly be friends as a man and a woman without becoming...
Without, like, are we going to, like, where there's that awkwardness of, like, you know, is there going to be a relationship here beyond this, you know, friendship?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I get his question because, you know, let me go cite Billy Graham, for instance. He made it a point in all of his ministry, all the years of his ministry, to never be alone with a woman, no matter what. It's like he always made sure, you know, and sure enough, after decades of ministry, there's no scandal, like there isn't a shred of evidence or alleged evidence of any sort of relationship scandal in his entire ministry. I mean, so Billy Graham would not have taken those kind of precautions. Well, I guess some people can make some stuff up if they really want to, but but evidently he believed that it wasn't possible for a man and a woman to be in a relationship that's platonic without I don't even really know how to say this. It's kind of
without the romance getting in the way.
Or yeah, just the potential for what is this relationship starting to become. So now here I kind of feel like, you know, struggling for words here, even because this might be the most real with Rob has got so far, because I don't know, we all probably deal with this kind of potential in real relationships that we have, and so and I couldn't tell. I mean, my brother sent it in on our Facebook page, and I've talked with him about this before, and I can't for the life of me remember exactly what kind of scenario was on his mind, why he asked that question. But as we were just looking through some of our stuff in our mailbag, I was like, you know, that actually is a really interesting question.
For me as a man, like, the only reason that I find women, or, you know, if I'm wanting to be friends with someone of the opposite sex, it's because, you know, they enjoy the same things I do. They're interesting. You know, they're fun to talk to, things like that. But
So
those are also the same things that you look for in somebody that you want to get married to or date. And so I can see where that is kind of a dangerous area.
Well, let's say you're dealing with just the common interest of in things like that. You know, it's like you can have. Well, okay, let's say somebody came up and was like, somebody came up to me and said they love Def Leppard. It's like, really? So do I. Okay, now there's some common ground here for a conversation. Now, if it happens to be a woman and I'm a man, we're still both interested in Def Leppard, and we can still just talk about something along those lines. So it's not really about we're interested in the same things and we can therefore have a dialogue about interesting things to us with one another without breaching this, you know, separation that is appropriate when I'm married to my wife. And but I don't think we're talking about that. I'm thinking about, can you have a relationship one-on-one, me being a married man and whoever she would be, a woman, is it possible to have a real relationship without betraying?
And what's your definition of, like, real relationship? You know what I mean? Like, is it like, you know, you hang out outside of, you know, like your wife's out of town, like, I'm going to go hang out with so-and-so, or you just mean like a relationship is in...
Like you and I would go hang out. Like, okay, we've got some time to kill. My wife's doing, our wives are at my house scrapbooking because tonight's Royce night. And here you and I are.
Well, and I think there are so many variables. I mean, you know, I've had friends, and I still have friends, where I could hang out with their wife, no problem.
Sure.
And just like my wife could hang out with their husband, no problem.
Sure.
No questions asked, because it's more like a brother-sister kind of relationship on both sides, where, you know, you've been around these people for over a decade and you're just like, look, there's no there's just nothing, you're truly
Right.
friends.
Okay.
And so I think there are those kind of things where I think that's entirely possible.
You say it's possible, and there are definitely relationships that exist in your circles that you'd be comfortable with your wife hanging out with that guy and it wouldn't freak you out. She may be comfortable with you hanging out with that lady and it wouldn't freak her out. Maybe I'm going to swing this the other way a little far for a second and say, let's say that this woman that that you would definitely say you're friends with, and she'd say she's friends with you. Let's say that you two had the friendship and it didn't have that much to do with your wife. And there was clearly a connection. Your wife isn't really part of it.
Nope.
Okay. So we've made I'm writing something here, not that it matters. I'm just trying to keep my thoughts straight. So something has made it jump from this is a possible thing to this is an impossible thing. What is it?
Well, I mean, some of it is, again, it's a really hard question because for me, the people that I know who are married, whose wives that I know I could be around by myself, and again, vice versa, my wife could be around their husbands by themselves. I mean, these are relationships that have been for a very, very long time, and there's just those variables. Maybe they're just hidden variables.
Right.
Like it's just an unspoken thing where it's like this is not a big deal. Like it's just really not. Like there's just the
Right.
amount of trust there is so paramount.
Right.
That no one would ever think in a million years, oh, he's hanging out with her wife, something's going on. No, it would just never happen.
But let's say, because we all know. I mean, we all know people who are spouses, if you're married, don't really know as well. And a lot of those people end up being a member of the opposite sex. Let's say there was somebody, like I got married in my early 20s. Let's say there was some young lady that I had known in my late teens and bump into her and we strike up a conversation and we decide, the two of us, we really should talk and catch up and all that stuff. And all with the intent of it being platonic. And even though she might know I'm married, and even though I might know maybe she's married now, we decide, hey, in order to catch up, because our relationship when we were, both in our late teens was important to us, we start getting together on a one-on-one basis over coffee.
Yeah, it just sounds like a bad idea.
Right, I agree. And so maybe we can, identify an answer for my brother and say,
for me, I think when you get married, I think everything just has to change. Like there just has to be this separation, like this cutting off of a limb, just going, you know what? I now have the one person in my life that
I need for a
relationship. Like if there are, if there are things that you liked about certain people in your life of the opposite sex, well, you just need to involve your wife in those things now. Like that person now, that was a season, that was a time, where you got to spend time with that person and share your experiences and your similarities and whatever. But now, the only woman left in your life now at this point that you should have any of those, conversations or just spent time with should just be your wife. So it's like,
well, I mean, is it possible then? Is it possible that there are redeemable qualities of that relationship that maybe she and I had while we were both single, or was that just a waste of time? Now that I'm married, now that I've got my wife, and that's just it. Ben and I, we're both, we're answering this question from a standpoint that we've not cheated on our wives.
Nope.
And my wife, I love her. I enjoy spending time with her, and there isn't anybody else I'd rather spend time with. So we're not talking about, being in danger of dismissing our wives for these other relationships. It's not that. It has more to do perhaps with, we both had friendships, legitimate friendships with young women before we met and married our wives. Is there a redeemable quality of any sort to that relationship, or were we wasting our time?
I don't think it was a waste of time. I think a lot of it's, you grow up and actually Rob and I were talking about this earlier, just about, when you're in your teens and growing up, should you do a lot of dating? Should you, go on lots of dates with different women and different men? And, I think after a while, after we were talking, the common thread at the end was just like, no,
I don't think we should. No.
And the thing is I had a youth pastor when I was younger, who used to say, you need to get out there, needed to date, tons and tons of girls, because the more girls you date, the more you're going to find out who you want, in a marriage partner for life. And I always thought that sounded really strange to me, because for me, it was like, well, I don't want to date a bunch of girls, because I want to find one girl who I can share all these experiences with, instead of meeting a girl years later and going, well, let's go ahead and have all these experiences that I've already had.
Yeah, let's just repeat with a different person.
And to me, that just opens up a door where, like, oh, my wife and I watched this movie and sat down. And you're like, no, you're going to flash back to, oh, that girl and I watched this movie once upon a time, and then, we did this, and like, oh, hey, let's go get ice cream. Oh, this reminds me of the time that me and the thing is,
this happens enough for young people, and then suddenly they're, you try to relay an experience you thought you had with your wife, and you end up like, oh, that wasn't you. Oh, sorry. I don't know.
No, and I'm
just imagining. I don't think that ever happened to me. That I just imagine the horror of it. And so it almost just to undergird the idea that what are you benefiting from that dating relationship? What are you benefiting from now in that dating relationship that didn't last? Now that you're married, and that relationship from before shouldn't have anything to do with your life now.
No, and I think you're opening up a Pandora's box of hurt, in all honesty. Because, like, the thing is, you start thinking about all these old relationships, then you start really thinking stupid thoughts, and you start going, my wife doesn't like this movie. Man, what's her name really used to like this movie. Maybe there's something wrong with my wife. What's wrong with my wife?
And of course, you're using an extremely gentle metaphor in talking about a movie.
Well, and that's, but I mean, yeah, there's just lots of things though, where, you could just be like, oh, you know what, my wife, I'll ask my wife for a back rub. My wife won't give me back rubs. Well, so-and-so used to give me back rubs.
I used to give so-and-so back rubs.
Yeah. And it's just like, my wife doesn't like when I give her back rubs, and you're like, oh, and then like I said, and then, somewhere along the way, the devil rears his head up and he's like, I'm going to have her add you on Facebook. And then, or just like, hey, you still remember her cell phone number? Or, to me, that's just, again, can men and women be,
Well, okay. So, the dating thing, and that I would say that that's a whole different thing, but I'm not really necessarily sure it is. Okay. So maybe when you date, I'm going to say that if you date around, and then you end up married, all that dating was a waste of time. If nothing else, it was a waste of time. And there's so much more it could have wasted. There's so much more potential to waste much more valuable things in addition to time. But at least it's a waste of time to spend affections and spend money and to spend, on somebody you end up not married to. What about platonic relationships? Because when we say in our marriage vows, and forsaking all others, is it saying forsaking all other romances? Because you should have done that when you started dating. Or is it saying forsaking, like you said before, is it forsaking anything that you would want to get from another female, and you're forsaking that for your wife? I
think that's exactly what you're forsaking, because you're just opening up a box of hurt, and not even for yourself. I mean, basically, when you get married, again, you're forsaking all others. Well, so is she.
That's right.
Or so is he. And so, I mean, you have to put yourself in that position. Like, how would you feel if, your wife had a friend that she had, it works both ways.
And she starts to say things like, oh, I can't, if I say, hey, honey, I got a sitter and we're going to go to that hibachi grill, again. And it's just going to be you and I. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm meeting, Jake for coffee later, and be like,
well, first of all, that'd blow your mind.
And be like, yeah, I don't even know Jake.
Coffee Jake? Who's Coffee Jake?
Well, I don't know if I like this guy. But okay. So let's, back to the scenario that, okay, this is an old friend. We're just catching up. If you can't do that when you're married, and what was the point of that relationship when you weren't? what kind of benefit did you get in that relationship that, since you can't take those benefits into your marriage, then of what use were they then? I've got an answer for this. Because if I can't just meet with somebody that I knew when I was in my late 20s, like I said, I got married in my early 20s. If I can't meet somebody one-on-one for coffee when we had what seemed to be a legitimate friendship before that, and for my wife to not be included in that relationship, then of what benefit was it? Okay, the solution to that is everything about that relationship that I had, the platonic relationship that I had with that young lady, it's legitimized in the fact that it's my wife that carries that relationship now. It's not about it. In fact, the relationship I had with her, the relationship she has with my wife, is never about the relationship she had with me, and the friendship that I see them develop never had to do with me and my friendship with her. It's like all my relationship with her did is served to introduce her to the one I would marry as a quality friendship for my wife, and my wife as a quality friend for her. And I think that's, if you can't get the maximum amount of joy from being friends with somebody because of that, then you might have the wrong intentions of having a relationship, and it might not be as platonic as you think it is.
Yeah, I'd say okay with that. Yeah.
So the key factor and the thing to keep an eye on, if we want to be wise and discerning about these things, the roadblock, as you say, would be that the relationship, any relationship that is platonic in this way would start to become dangerous for a man and a woman if the relationship becomes about one another. The moment the relationship starts to become about one another, that's a border that you need to have a roadblock set up that's not a crossable border. It's just not.
Well, I think the roadblock there is just involve your spouse.
Your spouse.
Like don't go, don't set yourself up to get caught, or you know what I mean? Just be like,
don't set yourself up so that you make sure you don't get caught. Make sure the scenario doesn't interest you.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. Because I mean, it's just, again, if you just go, hey, this, like if you see somebody, if you're out in public and you're like, oh, hey, that's so and so, and like you tell your wife, hey, that's Sarah Mercedes, I don't know, Sarah Mercedes over there, and she's walking around like, oh, I knew her, we grew up together, we were friends, we were buddies or whatever, and your wife's like, oh, well, do you want to introduce me? You're like, sure, whatever, and that's, bam, you've already set it up right there.
Right.
And so just depending on, what you talk about, is that person married,
Mm-hmm.
does your wife and this person get along as you walk away or whatever? Those are all things that are going to determine what happens at that point.
Right. And so like you run into the old friend and you start to say, hey, would you like to get together with my wife and I sometime? We go, oh, no, but I'd really like to get coffee with you again.
And that's where that, and then right there, bam, that's the red flag.
Because the relationship turns inward. If you're meeting, it's not wrong to speak with an old friend if you bump into them and all that stuff. And but if you were to say, and the other one would be, I don't think I'm going to tell my wife I ran into this old friend of mine because, she might start asking a couple of questions and I won't feel like I can, quote unquote, bump into her again. Exactly. And so all of y'all who might wrestle with this question, I think the answer is keep an eye out on whether or not the relationship you have with a member of the opposite sex turns towards one another when it shouldn't be. Like if you're actually searching for a marital candidate and you find this person to be a suitable one and you develop that relationship and the relationship turns towards one another, that's what you want when you're single and they're single and that ends up working out, and that's beautiful. But if you're married or the other is married, I would say that's what you want to watch out for. So a platonic relationship between a man and a woman is possible as long as the focus of the relationship is not one another.
Hopefully, John, that answers your question. If it didn't, well,
let's talk in person.
Your brothers. Your
We'll
brothers
talk.
for crying out loud. But you know what? Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast, and we'll meet with you guys up next week. I'm Ben Knight.
And Rob Royce, once again, happy Thanksgiving.
Today, a guy told me he hadn't had a bite in 3 days. It's really rude to walk up to someone you don't know and start a conversation. So I just walked away.